The girl and the grave of stars. The sand whispered under Lyra's boots as she crept across the glass wastes, a shimmer of heat warping the horizon. Nothing ever moved out here, not wind, not beasts, not machines. Just her and the silence of ancient devastation. She liked it that way. A sharp beep from her wrist scanner snapped her out of thought. The interface flickered and then stabilized, blinking in pulsing amber. Power signature detected. Class, unknown. Depth, 3.2 meters. Lyra narrowed her eyes. That's not junk, she muttered, brushing a strand of sweat-soaked hair from her brow. She dropped her satchel and unpacked her tools, a solar spade, pulse cutter, and her grandfather's battered sonic probe. The scanner's signal throbbed steadily as she dug, grains of irradiated sand slipping over the edges of a growing pit. Then clang. Metal. Not rusted earth steel, either. Something older, smoother, not made by human hands. She swept more sand aside. An angular surface emerged, black, seamless, and cool despite the sun's heat. Etched along the surface were fine geometric patterns that glowed faintly when her fingers grazed them. A ship, small, sleek, maybe a fighter. She guessed from the curvature and the scorched venting around the hull. No visible insignia. Not Earth Alliance. Not even from the old world archives she'd seen. She found the hatch half buried under sand and caked crystal. The entry panel was dead. Lyra pulled out her override spike and jacked it into a data port. Her screen flickered. Alien script danced for a moment, then translated. Stasis lock engaged. Warning. Escape engine offline. Time since loss. 1,391 years. She read the line twice. 1300. The panel hissed. With a slow, reluctant groan, the hatch cracked open. Cool air exhaled from the interior, dense with the sterile tang of stasis preservatives. She slipped inside, her boots thudding softly on alloy floors. The interior was cramped, more cockpit than cabin. Wires dangled like vines, some snapped, others pulsing weakly with life. A single pod occupied the center, framed by holographic monitors and what looked like a manual override console. Inside the pod floated a humanoid figure, motionless, suspended in a translucent blue gel. It was unlike anything she'd seen. Tall, humanoid in shape but elongated, almost statuesque. Skin the color of pale steel, with bioluminescent lines tracing from temple to collarbone. Short, ridged hair like wire brush fibers. The face was calm, not dead, just frozen in a sleep that had lasted over 1,000 years. The console displayed his vital signs. Alive. Cryostasis stable. Neural sync active. Lyra hesitated. She should call it in. Let the council handle this. But she already knew what they'd do. Strip the ship, sell the corpse to a science guild, bury the rest. All knowledge lost in a bureaucratic black hole. She crouched by the pod, biting her lip, then whispered, "If you've been waiting this long, maybe you deserve better." She connected her pad to the pod's control node. The system resisted her hack at first, but Lyra had done worse, piecing together old-world drones from burned-out wrecks, bypassing sealed vaults in the Ironwood ruins. This was just another puzzle. One more line of alien code, one more stubborn machine. After 20 minutes of sweat and swearing, the pod hissed. The gel drained. The pod retracted. The alien slumped forward into her arms, skin cold as ice. He gasped. Not a mechanical whir. Not a recording. A real, sharp, startled breath, like someone shocked back into life. His eyes opened, silver, glowing faintly from within. For a moment, they locked with hers. Then he spoke, voice dry and rusted like old metal, yet unmistakably alive. "Where am I?" Lyra swallowed. "You're on Earth. Or what's left of it." The alien's gaze scanned the shattered interior of his ship, then returned to her. "My escape engine." She shook her head. "Gone. According to your ship, it's been missing for 1,391 years. He blinked slowly. The number hung in the air between them like a tombstone. Then, "I am the last." Lyra straightened. Her voice was firm now. "Maybe, but if you waited this long, you might still have something left to find." For the first time, the alien looked uncertain. Lyra offered her hand. Come on, you're not staying buried. The pilot who waited. Vael sat beside the fire with his arms resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the flickering light like it might burn through time itself. The alien warmth of his silver-hued skin reflected the glow in shimmering hues, but his expression remained distant. Lyra watched him cautiously. They had walked until sunset before making camp among the bones of a ruined comms tower, half swallowed by the dunes. Now she sipped bitter tea from a cracked metal cup, watching the 1,000-year-old relic process the new world. You haven't said much, she prompted. Vael didn't look at her. There's not much to say. She shrugged. I mean, if I woke up and found out I overslept by 1,300 years, I'd have questions. His lips twitched, either a grimace or the memory of smile. I had questions. They were answered the moment I saw the stars. They've shifted far more than I expected. My people are not coming back. Lyra looked down in her tea. You sure they didn't try? He met her eyes. If they had, you'd be gone. My escape engine would not be missing, and I would not have awakened alone. Silence settled between them. Lyra poked the fire with a stick. What is an escape engine, anyway? Like a drive core? More than that, Vael said. It's a quantum shift crystal, a seed of folded space tied to my ship's drive matrix. It allows instantaneous signal bursts across galactic distances. It was ejected automatically during the crash to prevent overload. Without it, I can't return or call for help. Where would the signal have gone? Wherever the engine landed. Lyra frowned. She tapped her wrist scanner, then rummaged in her satchel. From a worn leather pouch, she unfolded a small holomap projector. She loaded the ship's logs, fragmented as they were, and layered them over local scans. A blinking marker appeared, faint but traceable, nearly 80 kilometers east. There, she said, pointing. You left a ping in your crash data, like a dying breadcrumb. That signal's faint, but still active. Probably Scavtech amplified it. I think someone found it. Vael leaned over the map. His eyes narrowed. That's not a ruin, Lyra added. It's controlled territory. The Iron Spine clan. Tech worshippers. They guard old-world artifacts like holy relics. Vael's jaw clenched. Then I will retrieve what's mine. You'll get shot before you make it past their outposts. I'm not afraid of primitive resistance. Lyra stood. It's not about fear. It's about planning. You think the world stayed frozen while you slept? We adapted. Changed. Humans don't let go of power easily. Not even broken power. Vael stood too, a full head taller than her, glowing eyes intense. You speak like this is your world now. It is, she replied, unfazed. You crashed here. I was born here. And if you want that escape engine, you're going to need me. He studied her for a moment, then nodded. Agreed. A temporary alliance. She smirked. You're learning already. Vael sat again, slower this time, as though the gravity of the moment finally reached him. Tell me, he said, softer now. What happened to Earth? Lyra sat beside him. Collapse. First the wars, then the climate stuff, then the satellites fell. Nobody really agrees on the order. Cities turned to dust. Oceans pulled back. Some think it was our fault. Others think aliens triggered it. His gaze drifted to the sky. We didn't attack Earth. We were explorers. But not all of us came in peace. There were factions. Some pushed for conquest. Did you? He paused. No, I was reconnaissance. I studied species. I admired humans once. Their drive, their refusal to break. But we thought they would surrender to the stars. We were wrong. Lyra stood and looked eastward toward the darkening hills. They never did learn to give up, she said. That's why we're still here. Vael looked at her. For the first time, she saw something shift behind his eyes. Less cold calculation, more recognition. I underestimated you, he said. Lyra smiled. Yeah, well, everyone does. The vault of forgotten fire. The mountains loomed like ancient gods, their jagged teeth shrouded in smoke and mist. Lyra and Vael stood at the edge of the cliffs, overlooking a sprawling stone complex half-carved into the mountain face. Iron spires rose from it like broken fingers. Electric arcs sparked along the perimeter, primitive but deadly. That's the vault, Vael asked, narrowing his eyes. Lyra nodded. The Order of the Broken Flame lives inside. They guard tech from the old world, and sometimes from even older worlds. Vael tilted his head. They don't understand what they protect, do they? Doesn't matter. They believe it's sacred, and you don't walk into a temple and steal a god's heart without consequences. They crouched behind a ridge as dusk fell. Lyra adjusted the makeshift drone she had strapped to her back. She released it with a flick of her wrist. The tiny, buzzing device shot into the air, its cameras feeding a live scan into her visor. "There," she whispered, marking a glowing core deep beneath the vault. Energy signature matches your escape engine. It's powering their archive node. If we pull it, the system collapses, Vael finished grimly. Silence stretched between them. "We need a new plan," Lyra said. "I retrieve the engine," Vael replied, "or I remain stranded." It's not that simple. That archive contains medical tech, clean water schematics, terraforming blueprints, all linked to that power node. If we pull it, we don't just shut down the temple. We erase hope for half the clans west of the valley. Vael's expression tightened. They've turned survival into religion. And you think that makes it less real? For a moment, they said nothing. Below, the Order marched along their walls, their armor clanking like clockwork. The old-world exosuits they wore were patched with leather and bone, symbols burned into every plate. Finally, Vael said, "What would you do?" Lyra exhaled. "Find a way to fake it." He raised an eyebrow. "Fake a quantum crystal. Not the crystal, the signal. Your people aren't coming to pick you up. But if we can simulate the escape engine's quantum signature, we might trick the remnants of your network. Maybe access archives, find other survivors, even get a relay open." Vael looked intrigued for the first time since entering the valley. "You would merge your crude systems with mine?" "I call it improvisation," Lyra said, grinning. "Human specialty." They descended at night. Through tunnels Lyra knew from childhood stories, through cracked grates and hidden vents. Her father had mapped them before he disappeared. She led with certainty, her flashlight dimmed to avoid detection. They reached the core chamber, a cathedral of stone and steel. At its center, the escape engine floated in a containment field, humming softly, pulsing with alien energy. The chamber walls were lined with sleeping data pillars, flickering fragile remnants of knowledge stored from ages past. Vael approached it, reverent. "Still alive?" he whispered. Lyra knelt beside a junction panel. Her fingers danced over makeshift keys as she connected her wrist pad. "I'll interface with the power modulation node. If I can isolate the signature stream." A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Trespassers." They spun around. 3 Order guards stood at the entrance, their armor lit with glowing runes. One raised a relic rifle, crackling with charge. Vael stepped forward instinctively, hand raised. "We don't seek to defile your sanctum, only to reclaim what was lost." The tallest of the 3 removed her helmet, revealing a face lined with scars and wisdom. "You're not of this world," she said. "No," Vael replied. "And yet you came back." "I was never rescued," he said flatly. She studied him. "Then Lyra. Then the core. That crystal powers our future. Remove it, and the past becomes dust." Lyra stood. "What if we copy it?" The guards looked confused. "I mean," she continued, "we simulate its signal. Keep powering your systems while we send out a broadcast. He gets his message to the stars. You keep your vault." The woman's eyes narrowed. "Impossible." Vael stepped beside Lyra. "Not for humans, apparently." After a tense pause, the woman slowly lowered her weapon. "Then do it," she said. "But if the vault dims, you both die here." Lyra nodded. "Deal." They worked through the night. Vael's interface merged with Lyra's hacked relay, generating a synthetic signature that mirrored the escape engine's core. At dawn, they sent the signal, and the stars answered. But what came next, neither of them expected. Then this happens. The transmission surged skyward, a spiraling beam of synthetic quantum code punching through layers of atmosphere, radiation haze, and broken satellite husks. Lyra shielded her eyes as the glow intensified. Vael stood at the edge of the vault's central chamber, face turned toward the rising light. His hand clenched involuntarily, the first flicker of something like hope since his awakening. Signals away, Lyra confirmed, eyes scanning her pad. Carrier held steady. Quantum fingerprint mimicked perfectly. She turned to Vael, half smiling. If there's anyone still out there, they heard you. Before he could speak, the air cracked. A deep tremor rolled through the chamber, knocking dust from the rafters. The escape engine pulsed once, violently, then dimmed. Lyra sprinted to the console. No, don't spike on me now. The console readout flickered. External link established. Response pending. Vael stepped closer. Something's returning the signal. Suddenly, every dormant display in the vault lit up. The ancient data towers buzzed awake, lines of alien script and long-dead Earth code intermixing. The escape engine core surged, stabilizing, its pulse now slower, but stronger. The vault's matron, the scarred woman who had spared them, stormed in. "What have you done?" she growled. "The sacred pillar is reacting, rewriting itself." Lyra backed away from the console. "It's not rewriting. It's synchronizing." Vael's voice dropped. "A ship. A relay." Somewhere, someone answered. The chamber dimmed. A single hologram projected into the air. A distorted sphere of stars, folding and unfurling like petals. Then a voice. "Vael, 91. Status recognized. Long-range beacon received. Emergency archive protocol initiated." Lyra's eyes widened. "Is that your people?" "No," Vael whispered. "That's a failsafe. An autonomous system. A memory vault. Not a ship." The hologram shimmered. "Network integrity compromised. Last known exocolony, Eridani Theta. One active relay remains. Coordinates transmitted. Data transfer complete." Then silence. The light faded. The escape engine fell dormant, but intact. Lyra exhaled. "Well, that was dramatic." Vael stared at the coordinates, now burned into the console. Eridani Theta. A sanctuary colony. If it still exists, they may still be alive. The matron glared at both of them. "You brought light to our dead halls. You also brought change. What now?" Lyra answered first. "Now you choose what to do with that light. You can guard it forever, or share it." The matron was quiet a long moment. Then she gave a stiff nod. "You may leave, but know this. If your echo leads trouble to our gate, you'll wish you'd never woken the past." Vael and Lyra exited into the breaking dawn. The vault behind them still glowed faintly, humming with the spark of new connection. They walked down the mountain in silence until Lyra finally asked, "So, what are you going to do?" Vael looked up. "I must reach the relay. Eridani Theta may hold the remnants of my kind, or at least the truth. That's half a world away, and then some. You'll need transport, credits, maps." He looked at her. "Then I need you." She arched a brow. "You offering a partnership?" "I'm offering purpose." Lyra snorted. "Bit dramatic, but I like dramatic." They reached the valley floor, wind kicking up red dust around them. Far ahead, the land stretched toward broken cities. Skybridges collapsed into spires of rust, and the horizon shimmered with heat and danger. "Whatever we find," Lyra said, "there's no going back after this." Vael's silver eyes met hers. "I've already lost 1,000 years. I'd rather lose them with purpose than sleep through another." They walked east. Above them, the stars watched silently, older than any escape engine, wiser than any vault. And somewhere, on a world yet untouched or long forgotten, something stirred. The past had spoken. The future waited.